Hey everyone, this is your host Chris G from Blurred's Eye View. And if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Here, let me explain. First, it's free. You definitely can't beat that. Plus, there's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership, and it's everything you need to make a podcast and more. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Live. Come on, Zoom. I'll be glad when I start.
Is Zoom hating?
Zoom's just it takes forever. I'm gonna start restreaming pretty soon. All right, we should be live now, and we are. Okay.
Are we live?
We are. Definitely. Yep, there it is, the link. Hey, everyone. Thank you for listening to Blurred's Eye View. Blurred's Eye View is a podcast that covers geek, pop culture, and everything in between from a POC point of view. I'm your host, Chris Fury, and with me is my co-host, Brandy Blocker, the cosplay diva. How you doing, Brandy?
I just like hearing that, the cosplay diva, and I feel like I need to do more to live up to that. I feel like I'm cosplaying Brandy right now because I took a shower today and I don't have on sweatpants, as we discussed. So I feel like a cosplay diva right now, so I'm doing good.
Normally, we would have had our other co-host, Darius DC, with us, but he's out celebrating his birthday. So happy birthday, bro.
Happy birthday, DC.
You know, the reason why we're not with him is we're quarantining anyway, and he stays in another city. So
listen, he's not a hop, skip, and a jump. I was like, ugh.
Yeah. So, but happy birthday, Darius. We do have a special guest, however. We have with us, if you are a comic book aficionado, then you may have seen our guest work on comics such as All-Star Batman, Black Panther, World of Wakanda, and most recently her work was featured in the HBO series Lovecraft Country. She's currently having a Kickstarter for her next project, Aquarius, the Book of Merg. Give a warm welcome to the Jane of all trades.
Yes.
Afua Richardson. Thank you for coming on,
Afua. Hello, Chris, Brandy. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Trust me. We're just gonna dive right into this.
Right,
we're gonna do
as they say, get ready for going.
Yeah. So normally we have a lot of little segments, but I couldn't let this one particular segment get by me because, well, it was just so much news. Thursday was Disney Investor Day, and they really need to recoin that as Disney, we dropping all this news on your ass day.
Oh yeah, they pulled a Beyonce.
Oh my goodness.
Bombs on
I was like, Disney dropped an album?
Yeah, I've never seen talking about holding my beer. It's a hold my beer moment. Like it went from Warner Brothers saying, "Oh, we're gonna show you Wonder Woman on HBO Max and the theaters, and so you get to watch. If you have HBO, then you have HBO Max for free." And if you're paying for it, then you get to still watch it for free without an extra premium attached to it. And I think it's available for like a month. And this is on Christmas. And people, I'm one of them. I'm a fan.
I'm gonna watch it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm like, oh, nice, cool, because I've been wanting to see this.
Yes.
That news went on for a while, and everyone's still waiting on the Zack Snyder cut for Justice League, which is starting in the beginning, somewhere in January of next year, I believe. And that was all we were getting. We were supposed to get Black Widow from Marvel, and thanks to COVID's bitch ass, it just
COVID gonna hear that and run up on you.
Hey,
you might want to watch him out.
I've coined it.
Vitamin C, I'll send you.
Right, but it's managed to just kind of hold everything up, and then Disney had Investor Day, and they literally just said, you know what?
Why was I literally about to do the same thing? See, we're here.
Exactly.
We're here.
This is why we work so well together.
Literally.
But they
I G-grade you.
Yes, they went balls to the wall with all this news. I'm gonna do a quick. I don't know if you can say it's a quick rundown.
You can't because you won't even gonna get to everything.
Just go ahead.
So much.
Already they have at least 10
so far
Star Wars centric shows. We have Star Wars Rangers of the New Republic. We have Ahsoka, based on the Ahsoka Tano. That's a limited series. And obviously, it's going to star Rosario Dawson.
It's going to hit.
Oh, that's going to hit.
It's gonna hit.
We have Andor starring Cassian from the Rogue One film. So that's obviously going to take place before Rogue One. The Bad Batch, which was from the Star Wars Clone Wars series and the Rebel series. So that's an animated series. We already knew about Obi-Wan Kenobi, but then they're bringing Hayden Christensen back,
which was exciting.
It was bigger, even bigger news. It was like, okay, yeah, we're getting Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan, but then we're bringing Hayden Christensen back.
He's like, who has the high ground now? He's like, I'm
exactly.
coming back.
Exactly.
Revenge.
Patty Jenkins had put out a nice little trailer, and she's talking about her father, how her father was an air fighter pilot, and she ends it with they don't even give you the tagline. They just show her roller skating on like the tarmac, like rollerblading on the tarmac. Then she goes to her car and she's talking about her father and how he died in battle, in the dogfight possibly. And then they show her putting on the Rogue Squadron flight suit and walking away. She puts on the helmet and she walks away. So she's doing Rogue Squadron, So Patty Jenkins is making major moves after Wonder Woman. And
it's going to be good because I love Wonder Woman. I was pleasantly surprised. It was one of the few films I walked into and I was like, I'm not going to put heavy expectations on this. I'm just going to enjoy it. And I really enjoyed it. So I'm kind of here for anybody that had something to do with that.
Oh, yeah. Talk about saving a franchise.
Listen, but it take a woman sometimes, don't it?
Yeah, I gotta admit it.
Don't it?
I'm one of those guys who I'll admit, I'm like, okay, right now you might need a female to handle this business because
just saying.
Yeah. So they're doing a live action / CGI Rescue Rangers.
I saw that yesterday.
What?
Yeah.
They're not pulling any punches.
And I'm like, and if they hit us with the theme song,
Stop.
They it was crazy because just the week prior they said that the next season of DuckTales that they have will be their last season. But this was on the tails of, no pun intended. This was on the tails of them saying that they were going to do a Darkwing Duck series and possibly a Tailspin, possibly Tailspin.
I was just going to say, if they bring back Tailspin,
they're just digging in the 90s bin and just like, hey, here's everything. Well,
some of that stuff we're here for. Some reboots, I'm not.
Yeah. But they are going crazy, and then that's just the mainstream stuff that we know about. They have other stuff like they're going very centric on a lot of animated films they're going to do. Like they're doing one. Well, see, they're already giving us Baymax. They're giving us Baymax. They're giving us Zootopia Plus, and I will say I'm here for that.
Listen, that woke. I feel like I got to do this for Zootopia. They was woke.
Oh yeah. Talk about being woke in a time you just. Like, here, watch this, everyone. And it made tons of money, and yet, like, it's still an underlying message, and it's in your face. God, it was a great film. But then they're giving us Tiana, the series.
Right?
After all these years. And I was like, you know what? They never gave Tiana her just due. I'm like,
no. And I didn't watch the movie when it came out. I had watched it years later. And by years later, I mean like this year. My son was pushing me on it because he's the one that put me on Moana. Moana's like GOAT Disney movie now for me.
Yeah.
It was Aladdin. Then I watched Moana and I was crying and singing the songs. I lost it. So then he told me to watch Coco and he told me to watch The Princess and the Frog. So of course I was hearing for years, she's not human the whole movie. So I was like, I'm not really here for it. And there was so much more there that could have been done. So to hear that they're going to have the series now, I'm like, please, yes, listen to the people's cries.
And not only that, and it was funny because I follow Anika Noni Rose on Twitter, and she just said, I have some big news for you. And I wasn't putting two and two together. I'm just like, I have big news for you. And then that drops. And I'm like, oh, not only bringing it back, they're bringing her back.
Yes. Who else? That voice. Who else?
And speaking of Anika Noni Rose, I'm gonna go off a little bit. Watch Jingle Jangle on Netflix.
I've been hearing so many good things about that.
It's the Christmas movie that our people really were needing. There's no Santa Claus, but there's a lot of magic. The music is fantastic. It's done by David E. Talbert, and it was an interview he did in which he said the reason why he made this movie is he wanted his son to see a film based around holiday Christmas feeling
Yeah.
that starred us. So
Absolutely.
when you talk about the wardrobe,
Oh,
the
I was
hair,
just gonna say.
I mean, you thought it's up there with Black Panther. How we've seen
Oh
Black
yeah,
Panther.
the trailer. I was sold
Yeah.
and immediately put it in a queue when I saw Felicia Rashad with like gray dreads. Say less.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like, that's not a hard sell at all.
The hairstyles alone, and I mean, I'm just like,
The girl
oh,
had like an Afro puff mohawk thing, and I'm like, this is beautiful.
I'm like,
here
Forrest
for
Whitaker with mustard and yellow, the mustard and blue plaid. And I'm like,
oh yeah, Forrest Whitaker's little suits was cute.
And he's singing. I'm like,
yeah.
I'm like,
but I like that in a musical. I'm like, make everybody sing, even if they don't feel comfortable. Everybody sings, everybody dances.
Like you'll get auto-tuned.
Yeah,
pretty much. We'll fix it in the studio. Just start dancing.
So, one of the Disney films they have is called Waju, which is a Pan-African film. No details on it, but that's the name of it. Another one they're doing is Encanto, and it's set in Colombia. Another one and then another one they're doing is called Turning Red, which is done through Pixar, and that's about a young girl named May who, when she gets too excited, she turns into a giant red panda. So,
I am sold.
They are just laying it. I just was like, oh, y'all just making sure these next couple of years we just aren't going to be bored at all.
With Twitter saying we're all getting superpowers after the 20th, can my superpower be when I get angry? Big red panda, because that's it. That's the superpower.
So, and that's just the Star Wars, and that's just the kids. Yeah, that's the Star Wars and the kid centric stuff. But then they go to the Marvel stuff, and we were already waiting for everything Marvel.
Oh, yes.
And they showed us an extended trailer for WandaVision, which has a release date now that's coming out in January, and it gives you so much more in this trailer. And oh god, Tiana Paris is playing Monica Rambeau from the Captain Marvel
She's
film.
So
we get her. We get Monica Rambeau. I don't know if we're gonna get Spectrum yet, but I'm waiting on it. We also get Darcy from Thor. She shows up. Yeah, so so we get Darcy back, and man,
it's just content.
Just content, just constant content. Like, what are you doing? I'm staying in the house.
Like they sent out a survey. Like, hello. What are some of your personal gripes? What would you like to see more of in the Marvel universe?
Right. And they're like, all of it.
You're asking,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
3 words: all the things.
All the things.
That was the phrase underneath that button I said that they put. They just said all the things. They're like, the internet will take care of it. Let them do the rest of the promoting. We'll just drop it.
It was great stuff. We finally got a release date for Captain America. Well, I keep wanting to say Captain America because he has the shield now. Falcon and Winter Soldier. Yes. Well,
technically he is Cap. It's kind of like a title, like Lieutenant Commander.
Exactly.
Captain America.
Exactly. I mean, that's who he is. And the trailer they had for that one is fantastic. It has a buddy cop feel to it because
I knew they were going to have that vibe, and I'm happy they went
because it's
that
funny.
Route.
It's so funny because even watching them during the Winter Soldier not during Winter Soldier, Civil War, watching them during Civil War, and just the back and forth that they have. Like, can you let your seat back or let your seat up some? No.
Oh, it's hilarious. Or I'll never get tired of the on your left. Like
on your left.
I love that whole bit. Like, so this is gonna be good.
He was like, "Come on, man!" Just, what's the other? Oh yeah, when they're fighting Spider-Man, they're both fighting Spider-Man, and they both get webbed up. And he right before it happens, Falcon lets off Red Wing and it carries Pete out the window, and Bucky says. They're both webbed up at this point. Bucky says, "You couldn't do that earlier." And Falcon was like, "I hate you so much right now." The lines I'm like, "Oh, this should be just fun. This should just be fun." It's obviously going to be a lot of espionage and a lot of seriousness, but seeing their back and forth, I'm here for that. I'm all.
It'll be, and Anthony Mackie does that really well.
Yeah.
So anything I've seen him in, he seems like a natural at the witty banner. So it's not going to be a hard sell for, like you said, this kind of buddy cop film thing that it seems like they're going to be doing. It's just like Rush Hour with superpowers. So
Yeah.
I'm here for it.
And I always wonder how much of it is improvisation. Is there
Mhm.
are there guidelines, and then the actors are just allowed to do what it is that they do?
Right.
I've
Company
always felt like
hopping.
that about Robert Downey Jr. I'm like, there's no way you're like a by the script guy. You very much strike me as, I'll do this character, but I'm just going, and everyone else just work around this.
And it's funny you mentioned it's funny
Exactly.
you mentioned him because it was said that on the set of Avengers, he
Mhm.
was hiding snacks because he has a thing where he snacks. So
I wonder if he has low
Okay.
blood
This-
sugar.
yeah. So the part where they're like all in the room talking and like Loki's staff is sitting in there and they start to argue prior to that, when he's walking around, all of a sudden Tony just grabs like this bag of freeze dried blueberries and he just starts eating them. They
Those
said
are his
that wasn't even in
personal
script.
snacks. Wow.
Yeah, like he hid those on that set and just
My
literally
theory is
just
correct.
grabbed the bag and just,
He's
just-
that guy.
Wow.
I'm like,
He's
okay.
too cool not to be that guy. I think of people like Robert Downey Jr. I'm like, you're just cool.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh yeah.
Just gonna hide some snacks, but I'm gonna start doing that. And like, what the hell is this?
She's just gonna
I'm
walk
gonna
off.
forget
I put these here earlier, you know.
These have been here for a week.
It's like, see, my
Just
name
like
is on it. It's like, I don't think that's healthy to eat anymore. Like,
Think you should mind your business. Let me have a
All right.
snack.
50-second rule.
50-second
Oh
rule.
God, not adding the time to it.
Oh my goodness. James Gunn is doing the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special with the entire cast. So good Lord. They managed Mouse Money talks. I will say that much. Mouse
Why
Money
you
talks
playing?
because they are going hand over fist. They're just like, hey, it's not going to be animated. It's not. You managed to get everybody in. It's going to be on Disney Plus. That's what you're telling me. Okay. I'm not mad at that.
I'm not
So-
either. And then on top of that, I'm like, you guys don't have anything else to do probably for the next 2 years. You might as well get on do these projects now before the world really opens back up. And I
Yeah.
think that could also benefit all of us blurs because we can finally like get content that's really paying off right now.
Jeez, tell me about it. Fua, what is your take on the hand that Disney dealt? That's what
I think with everything that's happened this year, they really needed to grab people's attention because people started reverting to online media. I've seen some really major movie theaters here in Georgia close down. And so they're adjusting to the times. But as Disney and Marvel likes to do, they like to come out with jazz hands. And so to do that, I think they were just rolling everything out. And this is kind of what I saw right before Black Panther, the film. When they brought on Ta-Nehisi Coates and they brought on Roxanne Gay and Yona Harvey, they wanted to create an all-star team and really push the comic book first before the film came out, just sort of strumming up interest in the character again. I mean, people had been working on the series for a really long time, and so to generate new interest, they brought in new creators and people to give new life to it, as well as people like Brian Stelfreeze, who are comic book veterans that would bring out the hardcore fans and then bring out the literary fans with writers like Yona Harvey and Ta-Nehisi Coates, etc. And so I think this is their push the big red button, fire, turn your phasers to stun.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I imagine happened.
Yeah.
Like we're joking about this, but in my head,
They're like,
that's
oh,
what's
yeah.
going on in
Like,
corporate.
They
They
literally
lift
had,
up
like,
that glass box and they're like, move, and like just go. That's exactly what
and
happened.
it's funny, like what you said earlier, Brandy. Like, yeah, someone somewhere in the office is like they hit the wrong button. I'm like,
Accidentally
oh,
spilled
crap.
coffee or
We
something
weren't supposed
happened.
to let all of that out.
Like everything.
It was a timeline.
What
We'll
had
screw
happened
the
was
timeline.
So let's just do it. Look, it's fine. Let's just go ahead. And then what that ends up doing is securing Disney Plus subscribers for the
Oh
next
yeah.
Yeah.
how many years? You know,
Mm-hmm.
because you don't want to be that one person who hasn't seen it.
Oh
Yeah.
no, 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 and I won't be.
Yeah, like they announced there were like two announcements. Like they were saying, they were saying it was like a little bit of struggle because once they were announced that they came on board, they had a lot of subscriptions, and then Mandalorian came out and they had a lot more subscriptions, and then
Right.
some people would drop off after the series ended, and
Absolutely.
then they
Exactly.
would pick it back up
Exactly.
again. So I'm like, they were seeing a pattern,
Right.
and they were just like, oh,
Okay.
we're gonna fix this,
Right. We're going to
and you're
roll it
want
out
to,
for the next couple of years and let you know that we plan on keeping you engaged and entertained, which is basically what ends up happening. You know, you signed up for HBO and then your show comes out. And then once it's over, you're like, okay, well, I don't need to keep paying
Yeah,
$14.99 because
yeah,
I
pretty
have
much.
Hulu
And
and this and all these
yeah,
other
exactly. So I
platforms.
mean, yeah, they
make some people
even
work for the money, and they
yeah,
are
they
putting out
even
the content.
they even went ahead and said, we're gonna charge $1 extra. So like if you just have Disney Plus and you pay $6.99, now you're paying $7.99. And I'm just like,
They're like, okay.
with all you just gave us, I don't even
Right.
care.
And considering Netflix on that bull trying to
Yeah,
go up, I'm like, Netflix used
you're
to be
not
like
giving me
$10.
enough. Like you're
Right.
not giving
Right.
me enough.
Remember, it was like $7.99. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
bye,
Netflix got real
Felicia.
bougie and forgot where it came from. And I don't like that.
Yeah. 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 I was like, nope. Okay.
So I mean that was the news segment, but good Lord, was that a lot of news?
It
It's
was.
a lot, a lot.
I mean, I'm still digesting. I'm just like, geez, what
Well,
like
on my timeline, I still end up seeing something I didn't catch the last 2 days. And I'm like, dang,
yeah,
this too? Or hearing
Right.
about other people starring in stuff that I guess can now talk about it
right.
Right.
because it's out there. So then it's like, hey, I'm in this. So that's been really cool to see who's in what, especially with Ironheart. I saw
Right.
Ironheart and about died. I'm like,
Right.
what?
They're going
What's
there.
happening? You're
They're
doing
going
this
there.
because I wasn't sure if we were going to see this for
Right.
some years. No lie. I'm like, they're not going to do this anytime soon. And I'm glad they're doing it, whether it's because there's some people complaining even as far as
There
some
it
of these
is.
shows
There it
are
is.
there it is.
There it
It's
is.
America. Just talking about how they're pandering to us with shows and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, y'all are always going to complain. Look,
Right.
I
No
would
matter what.
rather, I'd rather them pander. I'd rather them push the content because
And
these images are
try.
important. It's
It
something.
absolutely is.
Yeah.
You know, I had the opportunity to work with Melvin Van Peebles, and he is the father of Mario Van Peebles.
Right.
And we were doing this like off Broadway and eventually onto small theater and Broadway show. It was like a 3-man show. And for those who don't know who Melvin Van Peebles is, he was a World War II veteran. He says he was the first black stock trader. And I was like, that sounds good. We'll go with that. But
Yeah.
also his film Sweetback's Badass Song was sort of the start of the black exploitation era of films, where he essentially, for a lot of people, was the first time seeing a black man on screen that wasn't a butler or a slave or just the typical or monster, like
Mhm.
the typical stereotypes of the day. And he wrote it, directed it, you know, and starred in it. And by then he had already been knighted and had all of these films that he created. And he was like, well, I don't know how to make a film, but I'm going to learn on the set of my first film. And he just created these, you know, masterpieces of his day. And studios around the United States started copying his films and making things like Shaft and Foxy Brown and all these different things. And when asked, aren't you upset that they mimicked your film, but then took out all of the politics and sentiment and made kind of this, you know, replica of your work without any of the sentiment? And he said, no, not at all. He's like, there are brown folks working. My job is done. That's
End
what
of
I want.
story.
Wow.
Right? They've chosen those roles. They made a choice. No one was forcing them to do that. They made a choice. They are working. They are being seen. And now there is a market. And
Right.
people understand now that you can make a film that stars black people and it's universal. It's not just a black film for black people and that's it. It's a film starring black people for everyone. And
Right.
I think, you know, each each milestone sort of moves these things forward. Yes, you can have a black lead who is a superhero. You can have two. You can have Shuri and Ironheart. Oh my gosh, two intelligent young
I'm
inventors
so
in
waiting for
one.
that.
Right? You know, I saw somebody had posted. It's just like, oh well, how is this going to work with two redundant characters? And I was like, not a redundancy, a team.
Exactly.
Like,
Right. And then even to be messy, even if it is redundant, how many times have we had the same Caucasian male save the world and we felt no way? You know what I mean? Like
it
you're
wasn't
still
redundant
having
then.
them. Yeah, it's not redundant then. We
Yeah.
still go see it. So it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. The diversity is fantastic. I'm here for it.
I'm
All of
here
Yeah.
it.
for it. Yeah,
Yeah.
because then we can have it and then we can reinvent it and we can get past it and say, okay, well that's done. Now what else can we
Now
do?
what else?
Yeah.
What
You
comes
know,
next?
it's I can't tell you how many conversations I've had, you know, like, okay, the latest piece of news that came out was they're not recasting T'Challa's role, and they're doing it in respect of Chadwick Boseman. And me being a fan already, obviously,
You don't
I was
say.
okay. I was okay with that because I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
they're going with the natural. They were probably already going to do this
Mhm.
anyway. It's just it got fast tracked,
Right.
and so they're just like, okay, we got to change course. We just have to change it now, and we have to do it in a respectful manner.
Yes.
I'm okay with that because they were saying
Right.
that the next round or the next film, you know, they're going to focus more on the characters of Wakanda. And I'm like, and you're going to give the role to Shuri. I already know it.
Yeah.
It's,
I mean,
it's,
that's what
it's,
happened
it's
in World of Wakanda.
exactly.
When T'Challa went away, Shuri was the Black Panther because she was next in line to be ruler and suitable for the role.
Mm-hmm. I love pointing out to people because I've seen the film. I've been riding with Black Panther since I was 11. So
Awesome.
I back anything from that world. And seeing that film, I've seen it at least, and I'm not afraid to admit it, at least 27 times.
That's okay.
Not mad.
But there's the scene where that warrior falls and he's fighting M'Baku.
Mhm.
And right before they get into the battle, you know, he's kind of having, you know, M'Baku does his speech and everything else. And Shuri says something and he points her out. But if you pay attention, the Dora Milaje do not have their spears or their weapons faced towards M'Baku. They have them guarding Shuri.
Oh,
And I'm like,
yeah.
if you read it differently, people were reading it like, oh, they're protecting her. They were like, no, she's protecting him.
Yeah, somebody
From
did
her.
some
They're
like
it's like
still
holding
shots
back.
and pointed that out. And I rewatched it. I didn't catch that the first 3 times I watched it in theaters because I did keep going back. But when they put it up there, I was like, that's a bad chick. Plus, she
Yeah.
was looking unmoved and unfazed anyway. Very much the definition of unbothered. Like, boy, I will wear you out.
Okay. She's like, do you know the kinds of things that I can make? I can
Pretty
disintegrate
much.
you into Tang. Okay.
Said, I'm not the one or the two. I'm here for it.
And I love, you know, so I've had those conversations with people and they were like, I didn't know that. I'm like, see, that's why you're stuck in the MCU world. And that's okay. And it's not gatekeeping. It's just I'm informing you like there's nothing wrong. You know, it's that stigma of that male centric
hmm
entity. You know, we got to do it all. We got to do it. And I know I sound crazy because I'm a guy, but it's not crazy. It's true.
No.
You know, when you have
No.
characters like Storm and Shuri and Monica Rambeau and Misty Knight, these
Yeah.
women are badasses.
Yeah, they are.
It's a huge draw. You know, seeing Simone Misnick play Misty in the Luke Cage show, I'm just like, that chick is bad
Yeah.
all
And
day
it's
long.
believable that
Yeah,
you
exactly.
believe her to be a cop. You
Yeah.
know, it reads really, really well. And she, I felt bad because I'm like, when are you losing your arm?
Not waiting. Like, is it this? It's oh my god, like that hot tub
Yeah,
time
I was-
machine movie.
right.
Like
Just a
every
moment.
scene, you're like, come on.
I was the same way. I'm just like, oh, she just got injured. My wife said, what? I'm like, it's coming. I just thought that was it. That wasn't it.
I'll explain later. Just watch.
And so
Like I'm not obsessed with her dismemberment, I promise.
exactly. The other piece of news, and I'll probably end it with that, and so we can go into our next topic. They showed the Loki trailer.
Yes, they did.
Damn.
Yes, they did. Very much worth that wait because he
talk
is
talk
what?
about dissecting a trailer, because I'm pausing and looking at things, and I'm like, this is Kang. We getting Kang coming through here now, and I'm like, this is it. This is
And
where it
I'm ready
starts.
for those memes too. After the rumor had already been out there that Jonathan was going to play him, and I was like, these memes, you are because I can already see the Terrence Howard and Ti. Anybody that says Kang with a twang, you already know these memes are coming, baby. They're coming, and I'm just like,
Kang
we
man.
can't have anything. Yeah, Kang man.
Are there going to be any Wee Was Kangs? Any just one.
We can't have anything. We're gonna run with that, boy. I'm here for it though.
Well, that now that you mentioned a few, since our topic is generally about diversity and dissecting color in comics, you have characters, you have many women of color out there, and you have people of color, period, out there in the comics realm. You have Ironheart that was written by Evil Ewing back in 2019. Jasmine Truesdale, owner of AZA Comics down in Atlanta, you know, actresses such as Erica Alexander, who did Concrete Park. She wrote the Giles spinoff, and Amanda Steinberg, who did the Niobe series. How does it feel being that caliber, and what does it feel like to have to make that mark in the world of comics?
Well, it's funny because I'm drawing while I'm talking to you guys.
I love it. Constantly working. I love it. No.
I say this very similarly, but not comparing myself to one of the first Black animators at Disney. I didn't get into comics thinking about being the first Black anything or one of the few Black anything. I really love to draw, and I love comics, and I love storytelling and weird tales and sci-fi, and just this is something that has been a part of my life as long as I can remember, from being a kid and watching Star Trek with my dad and talking about escape velocity because he's a physicist, to cutting out little cardboard ray guns and making my own stories and things like that. So being able to give back to something that's given so much to me means a lot, and to be able to do it for a living as a full-time artist, that's something that I know I'm very fortunate to be able to do, because there are a lot of people who want to, and it's a very difficult path. Because say you go to art school and you get all of this debt and you come out, you might not necessarily have the work experience to be able to charge what you need in order to pay back your student loans and to start employing your passions immediately. And so I think where my path may vary from a lot of other artists is I'm completely self-taught. I came from music, and I learned a lot about my family history and some of the things that they endured to be able to do what it is that they do. My father, walking to Stillman College in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, had some men drive by, if you can call them men, and call him all kinds of names and throw canned food at him and broke his ribs and bruised him up and knocked all of his stuff on the ground. And he got up and continued to go to school, taught himself physics, became a decorated officer and one of the supervisors and expanders of the Civil Rights Division in the U.S. Coast Guard, one of the first 8 men in the military after a particular amount of time who were allowed to advance as a soldier.
Wow.
Because during the Buffalo Soldier era, they could advance, and then at some point it stopped, and then they could only be stewards, which meant that they could only retire with a certain pay grade, and they could only be allowed access, and they were basically condemned to peeling potatoes and janitorial work, whereas him and not just telling me the struggles that he had, but the victories that he had despite, in light of those things, it made me resilient, and know that I came from some folks who saw some really difficult times and pursued anyway. Like his mother, Anna Richardson, when she was, I believe, in her 30s, and she had passed the voting test, which included being able to recite the Bill of Rights verbatim. They were pretty certain that she cheated, and they put her in jail for three
Wow.
years. But they
Wow.
didn't have any female prisons at the time in that part of Alabama, so they put her in a chicken coop where she developed pneumonia, and she was outside in the 107-degree weather or the freezing cold, and she still became a nurse and raised, 7 kids, some of whom were not her own. And she's kind, and she's still kicking. She just turned 92.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
Congratulations.
and I came from some folks who are made of really tough stuff. And so knowing that and moving forward, and some of the things that I experienced in my life, at one point in my life, I was homeless and I didn't have a place to stay. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I was just too young and stupid to really understand the bad situation that I was in. But it felt like a video game. Like, this is the part of the story where you've got to level up. And if you want to get the powers and the sword and all of the extra, downloadable content, you have got to put in those repetitions. You've got to find the patterns. You got to seek out your own patterns and move whatever is not serving you out of your way, and move forward, build alliances, figure out how you can be of service with what it is that you make. And you employ your passions by being needed. And being needed is, creating something that you love, but then also creating something that's missing. And we were talking about all these different things that we've been waiting for and super excited about from, the Marvel universe and all of these different platforms, because those things are missing. And there's an opportunity. But Marvel and DC and all of these different companies, they are giant entities. They can't capture everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that means, as independent creators and independent creators out there, there is an opportunity for you to create what is missing and what is needed. And you don't have to do it for other people necessarily. It's, of course, you have to keep in mind your audience, but when you do something that you love or you're really interested in, it shows. It shows on the page, it shows in your writing, it shows in what it is that you make. And so I'm honored to even be mentioned with those creators. But this is something that I have to do.
Mhm.
I don't. I don't give myself a choice out of it. I doubt all the time. I'll look at my work. I'm like, oh God, why is it not like this? And I'll go through all of these different, like, I wish I had this of this person, and then that of that person, and I could, Frankenstein myself into this awesome creator. But I have to say, okay, well, my body of work suggests maybe there's a discrepancy between what I see and what other people see. And this year, especially, has been a time for me to really move forward and invest in the things that I dream about and I love. And so I'm working on my first creator owned right now, and I'm taking a chance. I'm taking a chance on me, just like all of these companies have invested in me, from working on World of Wakanda to Lovecraft Country. It's like, okay, if I'm being trusted to work on this, then I need to trust my own ideas. And I just, man, I really can't tell you the amount of support, or people bringing their daughters or their sons to me and say, please speak to the artist, because that means that they trust me to guide them.
Hmm.
I was like, you trust me with your babies. That's that's everything. And two, that means that as parents, they now have hope in the path of art, which is something that is kind of healing for my family as well, because my dad, facing the circumstances that he faced, in addition to being a scientist and an officer, there's a difference between officer and soldier. And folks
Hmm.
are going to kill me for making not making the distinction. He was an officer in the military. He was also an oil painter and a sculptor, and he still is. He's getting back to that. And when I expressed early on that I wanted to be a musician or an artist, he he wanted me to do those things as a hobby, but not as a profession, because he didn't want me to suffer. And I think that's very true of a lot of parents, or a lot of guides and guardians who, when they hear about their kids' desire to be an artist, they don't know the path, and so they don't know how to guide them, and so they don't want them to struggle heading down a path that they don't know the trajectory of. And so it's not that they don't believe in you and your capabilities, it's that they don't believe in the path of art. But I was discussing yesterday, there's so many things that touches an artist's hands. When you go to the grocery store, most of the times you're not actually, like, outside of the produce and maybe meat, you're not actually seeing the product. You're seeing the graphic design that's displaying the product. An artist's hand had to touch that, and it's selling you an idea. All of these trailers, the motion graphics, down to the budgeting. So even if you're not a creative person per se, you don't have to cut yourself off from creative endeavors. And so a big part of doing this work is also learning the business, learning what kinds of jobs you can have, and then sharing with other creatives who may think like, oh well, I'm black and I'm female, and so there's no place for me in this art world. But when I was maybe 18 or 19 and hold on to my little sketchbook and scared to death and going into New York Comic Con, like, I want to show my artwork, but I don't think it's good enough because I'm not good enough. But I really like comics and I have to go. My first time going to a really big show, I saw Coran Grant, Sanford Green, Aletha Martinez, who was the first brown woman who I saw sitting behind a table and inking Iron Man. I was like, there she was. That's her job. That's like her job. That's not her, like, oh yeah, well, I do this on like Saturdays, and then the
Yeah.
other, like, no, that is her job. And then Gail Simone, and then Celia Kyle, and then Lou Small Jr., and then meeting people like David Mack and Neil Adams and Brian Stelfreeze. They're also welcoming and kind. And they're saying, look, the path that you're about to walk is a very difficult one. But if you're serious, which it sounds like you are, try this out and see if this works for you. So I want to be able to do that for other artists, because it's scary. Like, there's no guarantee that even if you go to art school that you're going to be a successful artist. But if you know the different paths that you can take, then you can kind of make more of an informed decision when you start, scratching the surface and looking into the business fully. It's not just, oh, well, I'm just going to draw pretty pictures and I don't have to worry about it. you know it's okay, is this an industry that I really want to be in? And as far as comics, it's a very difficult industry, not necessarily because the people in it are difficult, or are there any gatekeepers or anything like that. It's because it's very, very demanding. You are doing a lot of work, and people seem to be under the impression that if you're drawing Spider-Man, you're getting that Spider-Man money when you do the comic. Not necessarily so. And so there are a lot of artists who do different kinds of art and then do comics as something that they love and enjoy. So someone like Neil Adams, for instance, who has been around for quite a while, in addition to doing comics, he also does storyboarding, because storyboarding for commercials and films is very, very similar to storyboarding a comic. And so he gets to kind of do both things, which is very similar in execution, and can do comics because he loves it. And it's not to say that you can't get paid doing comics. You know, there are many jobs in the comic book world, from editor to letterer, and even some of the more administrative or oversight jobs where you're still interacting with artists and you're still interacting with people who are creative, but you are not necessarily making the thing.
Mhm.
So I think for brown folks, a lot of times they stop themselves. They don't give themselves the psychological permission to even try, because they think there is no place for them here. But I am telling you from being on the inside that there are a lot of Black, Latino, Latinx, like there are a lot of folks here, and these companies are trying to expand, and they're trying to change from a genuine place, not from a pandering place, because if it were the case, then they wouldn't keep trying. They were like,
Mhm.
are
Right.
you gonna do this? No, not gonna buy. Okay, never mind. Going back to what we were doing before. That's not what they're doing. They're gonna keep trying, and it's because they genuinely want to change. They had more female editorial staff at Marvel in the past 10 years than in the company's entire history, because there was an active decision to say, well, who's the best? Bring them in.
Right.
That's good. I
You
like
know,
that.
and then seeing what sticks, and not just keeping someone there because they are a woman or because they are a minority. It's like your numbers will show whether or not this investment was worthwhile, but they gave them a shot. And so that's a very long answer to your question.
Oh, I love that.
No,
I
you
love that.
even running, you answered like, because we came up with questions, of course, before you came, you answered like 6 questions that I think we had within just letting you go. So in my head, I'm like, well, we can check that off and check that off. But I love what you mentioned about going into a store and you're basically seeing art. Because I've told other people that when I got into cosplaying, um, and just activated that right brain times 10. I'm like, man, why did I get away from painting? Why did I get away from all this stuff that I like?
Yeah,
Because it is what is a passion of mine. And I don't like being in my gray cube. I like doing all of this. So when
yes,
I was talking to my son who loves to draw, and not doing to him what I felt like my military family and other people did to me, where they're just like, because I was dancing too, girl. They were like, my goal was to be a background dancer for Janet Jackson. I'm still
yes.
working on it.
Hey, Janet's still out there, so
There
why
is
not?
still time, okay? But just anything artistic is what I wanted to do. But then you get hit with those talks about what's realistic. And that's where
Right,
that phrase starving artist comes from, because they're like,
right.
you're going to starve. But I think when you are that creative, just in general, no matter what you do,
Yeah,
we almost don't care what it takes. We're just
that's
like,
right.
I'm going to this con, I'm going to illustrate this, I'm going to do that.
That's right.
So I love that you mentioned that about the store, because I told my son that, because I did not want him to drink that Kool-Aid that the world's going to give you, because they're going to expect to put you in a box, especially as a young Black boy. They're going to want you to put you in this box. And I'm like, you don't have to, you can literally draw your way out of that box, because
That's right.
again, these logos you're looking at, even how a car looks, all of this is
Yes,
about the aesthetic first, buildings. I
absolutely.
was like, what do you think these architects make?
Right.
Like, you have to sit down trying to get him into more realism, because he likes to draw, fantasy characters. And I said,
Of
hey,
course.
why don't you do this? And just to diversify your bonds, because
Absolutely.
I'm
Mhm.
wanting you to be able to be a jack of all trades, be able to do a little bit of everything in this
That's
area.
right.
That way, like you said, you're not stuck, because it's like, I can do the storyboard for this, but still work on my own project, but then still be ready for this too. And not being afraid of
Absolutely.
that. And then seeing wonderful POCs like you killing what you're doing, because you're killing it. Like, if you've never
Yes.
been feeling yourself, you should feel yourself, because I know nobody would be able to tell me anything. Halfway can't now, let alone if I was you. Okay. God knew. So, so it's really great to see you out here and to have you be so approachable. Because like you said, when people come to you with the kids, and I literally push my kid because in front of people, because the first thing we do at cons, I'm like, let's find the Black owned, where they at, especially when they get younger and younger at these booths. Because here in Cleveland, it's
Yeah.
like $200 or something like that, Chris, and you can have a
Yeah.
booth. something like that.
Wow.
It's cheap. So I was like, okay,
Right.
we're gonna get you a booth. We're gonna put your art on little
Yeah.
coasters, t-shirts, something. We can do this.
Yeah.
So to put them in front of people that are like, look, I stepped out on faith. I did this scared. I didn't think I was ready. I didn't think it was good enough because he won't let me see stuff sometimes too. He'll be drawing something and I'm like, Mama wants to see because I'm like, I'm not going to critique because I'm a good painter. I don't feel like I can draw. And I know that's weird to say. So,
I understand what you mean.
but you get it.
I do.
So with him, I'm like, to me, it looks fine. So, but in his head, it's not. And that was a question that you kind of touched on a little bit when you were speaking. Cause I'm like, well, how does she know when she's done? How do you know this is it for the cover that you want to submit?
And usually when I'm working on things, if I have too much time, I will nitpick at it ad infinitum. I was like, oh, I can always fix this. I can do that. I have to give myself a deadline. And it's harder when it's your own stuff, but when you create a space where you're posting, and that's why I have a group on Facebook called Dr. Fu's Lab for people to post, just post, like just post your stuff. It doesn't matter if it's scribbles, incomplete, fully rendered, your Kickstarter, whatever it is, keep posting because you get better through the repetition. It's just you're creating a pathway from your mind to your hand. But if you keep going back over the same thing, sometimes you won't see your progress. You'll only see what's wrong, and then you'll end up changing what's right. And so having a space, I think for me, I really started to advance when I had a website and I only had like 2 or 3 images up there. And I'm like, well, I can't just redraw the same thing and put it up there. I'm going to have to do something new now. Like it was out in the world, and I either had to make it a fully colored piece or do something else. And then in doing something else, I learned from the last piece, like, okay, well, next time I need to draw through my figures so I know where they connect. I'm not trying to assemble this person in imaginary space. I'm thinking of them like I would an action figure, and this is a circle here. So this ball joint can only go in this direction, and through the shoulder, it exists on this axis here. So now I know that this arm connects across this bar, and then thinking like working through my sketches and saying, okay, I'm missing something here, flipping things around, because sometimes you'll sketch and your page will be tilted, or you're very right brained or you're very left brained, and you'll lean a little bit to one side, and when you flip it around, you're kind of allowing the other side of your brain to see maybe what you've missed. So if I'm drawing digitally, I'll flip my image quite a bit so I can see my own mistakes and make my own critiques.
I almost feel like she should put her Cash App up her because this is like
Something.
gold. Yeah, I'm like, PJ, come here, get a pad, take some notes. This is good.
And thank you. And I was thinking about maybe doing classes or starting a podcast where I just give artist tips,
Oh,
or
I
I
was
speak
actually
to other
kidding,
artists.
son. I'm so sorry.
Oh.
I was just kidding.
He heard his name and he came running.
Because
funny.
other artists shared with me their techniques, and they were kind enough to
Hey, PJ.
they were
All
kind
right,
enough
bye,
to share what it is that they do, because they're not threatened. This isn't a competition.
Right.
If I draw really, really well, and then my friend draws really, really well in their style, they have something completely different to bring. And even if we drew exactly alike, then we form Voltron and then we save the world. Like, that's it. It's like, oh, okay, great. We draw very similarly. Let's do a book together. Perfect. You know what I mean? Like, you can build bonds with people who are kind of covering the same ground, if you get along philosophically. And it doesn't have to be this, oh, they're going to take all the jobs. There's always going to be another job for you to have. There's always going to be another opportunity. And some opportunities are really great ones, like some of the projects that I've had the pleasure of working on. But I have been really fortunate to have just some really, really great teachers, and not having gone to school at all. I was a music student.
Yeah, which we need to get into because
because Brandy had a question about.
I had a lot of
Music
questions
part.
because I'm like, it's one thing to know what you know, surface level somebody does. So then you do some more research, aka with me, I stalk. So I stalked you. If you admit it, it doesn't sound so bad. You know what I mean? But I basically jode her. If anybody watched You, I jode her. And girl, that show was crazy. It's crazy, but I'm here for it though.
But it was very crazy.
It's very crazy.
This is horrible. Next episode.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh my God. Yes, I'm still watching. Yes, I'm gonna keep watching. I'm watching all of this tonight, Netflix, tonight. So this flute business, like, first of all, when are you gonna do a collab with Lizzo? Because that has to happen now. I'm gonna need y'all to do that, because I just get excited when I hear about any woman of color playing something where you just don't normally see us in. Kind of like that violinist, I forget her name, but she used to be in like the Kanye videos, hip hop's one.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm talking about.
Marie.
Yeah.
I think Marie.
I forget her name.
Ari Ben something. I know who you're talking
Esperanza
about.
Spalding.
She's another one. Yeah,
she is like God tier, over 9,000. It doesn't make any sense with that. She's amazing. But like, how did that affect you just overall as an artist, being introduced to something like that at such a young age?
I think it gave me an emotional maturity that I don't think I would have had otherwise. You know, I was going through a lot at home with one of my parents being suffering with a mental illness, and there was a lot of violence at home. And I mean, everybody has, you know, one of those parents that beat their ass, but it was really bad, and it gave me an opportunity to say, well, you know what, whatever is happening here, this sheet music has the thoughts and emotions and frozen poetry of somebody from 200, 500, a bajillion years ago, and what they felt, and it's beautiful. And they didn't even have electricity. And
this was it,
right? You know, I would look over Stevie Wonder's sheet music, and I would listen to his music, and I would see all the different relationships between the chords and the colors that he was creating with these different intervals. And I'm like, there is beauty in the world. And that was how powerful music was, where you can feel a certain way and you can listen to a couple of songs and it'll completely change your mind. It's medicine. It was medicine for me. And so being able to very keenly articulate, just I would go through my drills, and I play my scales, and I would play all this like classical stuff, and then I would listen to the radio and I would play along as if I were a part of their band. So being able to improvise and take all of that training and just be a part of something new, it really set a template for the rest of my life. Where when I read comics and things like that, and I, you know, would look at Wonder Woman and thought, man, if she were lifting that car, she would have quads like Flojo.
Yes, Flojo. Because that was Body.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The original Body, yada yada.
Now you see what Bruce sees in her.
And,
it's funny because.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was saying it was funny because I read there's a book called Batman in Psychology, and he has this breakdown of all his team members. And when it came to Wonder Woman, he was like, beyond any kind of piercing weapons, she does not have a weakness. Like, she just doesn't have a weakness. And like, if she wanted to, she could just shut the whole thing down. You know, I'm like, yeah, this is true.
Dude, I mean, did you notice in the film, her hair was never undone? She had no speck of dirt.
None.
Right.
In every slow-mo walk, you know, I was looking, because I was like, girl, for you not to know nothing about nothing, you know, to have your hair together. Is that what they teach the Amazons? Because listen, one, you're gonna look good, we know that, and then we'll get to everything else. Then we'll get to the hand-to-hand combat. And what skill to be able to whoop somebody's ass and still be like nothing out of place.
Okay,
between her and
run through
Storm,
mud trenches
so
and
Oh
Like,
yeah, storm.
shing, shing, bullets and dirt.
Oh yeah. That was probably my favorite part of that film, especially when they said it was no man's land. She was like, "Girl, bye, I'm going." I'm just like, this movie. I think it was that moment where I was like, "This movie gave me so much more than what I thought I was going to get," and that's when I'm like, I just need to see women all the time now, because they did such a good job. So
And then the
I'm yeah.
casting for the Amazons, where they had
Oh,
like,
what?
you know, they had MMA fighters, they had
Ugh.
gymnasts, they had
Yeah, they
like
had a couple
Olympians.
boxers and
Yeah,
everything.
and I like to look at the one time I got to be on set one time, and I like to look at the background and setup and things, and to
Yeah.
look at the people scrapping in the background. I was like, you guys are doing stuff for real.
Okay.
This is not
Yeah.
for play. You guys
No,
are
no,
doing
no.
your real drills in the back, and I can appreciate the conditioning of your
Yeah.
bodies, how many times it takes to go through this over and over again.
Right.
Like, this was so well casted, and like, again, shouts out to Wonder Woman as a whole. Like, that's
Well, see, not just the cast of the Wonder Woman, the Amazons of the cast of Wonder Woman, but
Mhm.
also the cast of the Dora Milaje and Black Panther. You know,
Mhm.
here these women are
Boy.
stunt women of all
Boy,
different
boy.
calibers, and damn,
Not
they were
playing
again
around.
together.
Dude,
yeah.
do you know that I started going on Etsy and looking up South African jewelry makers to get my ndebele?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna dress like this going to the grocery store, y'all. I got
Listen.
I got my face paint. I'm ready. Like, it was funny. Like, I would cosplay as a bunch of different things. I kind of do like a casual cosplay. Like, okay, can I leave the convention and walk 5 blocks away and still be okay wearing this ish kind of?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I
Yeah.
still be comfortable in this after 6 hours? So every other costume, you know, it's been like, oh, hey, you're this person. That's cool. I like your, you know, whatever. Every time I dressed as a Dora Milaje, people moved out of the way.
Okay,
I love
Moses.
that.
Mm.
Just ride with it.
Okay, the power.
I was like, this is not good for me. I had to help someone get from one side of a convention to the other in Denver, and Denver Comic-Con is huge. It's I think it's as big as San Diego. It's
Really?
massive.
Oh,
The
wow.
comic convention is. It's a huge building, just wide, and you can barely see the numbers at the other end. And so we had to get all the way to the other side. And so I picked up my staff. I was like, all right, let's go. And we're just weaving through the crowd, and people are just like, that looks like a real staff. And I was like,
Yeah.
Oh no, it is.
So
we're doing mashups too, like Shuri as a Dora Milaje.
oh,
I'm
geez.
still here for anybody doing a mashup. Like, I've only done one, but I'm still here for every time I see somebody else doing it, because I'm just like, oh, this is so good.
It's something original. It literally
It is.
something
And then, you know,
original.
they like,
Doctor Strange.
yes, come on. I can't wait to see that. I'm gonna double tap the heck out of that picture.
Oh man.
She's gonna be like, this is my Joe. That's what you can just, that'll be my nickname. Like,
So we talked earlier, you mentioned earlier the effects like shows like Lovecraft Craft Country has. And I think, you know, between me and Brandy, we probably know what your favorite episode is, but what was
she might
what
surprise
was,
us.
and she might surprise us. You know, what was your favorite episode?
Ooh. It's so tough because each episode took you on a ride. Like by the end of each one, I needed water. Like it became like a family event. Like every Sunday, my husband and his mom would come over. I'd make dinner or she'd bring dinner, and we'd hang out a little bit, and then we'd watch the show. And then afterwards, it'd be like, okay.
Yeah, that was the best thing. Yeah, I need a drink.
Right. I'm like, I need therapy.
Right.
The Diana episode alone was just like, oh God, I don't know if we gonna make this.
I don't know if we're gonna make it.
Okay, after what was that? Was that episode 3 in Letty's house?
Yeah.
On the
Oh.
bottom floor of Letty's house? I was like, is this what it's going to be like?
Oh yeah, after she told them to get the fuck out of her house, I was like, "Whoo, child!" I was like, "You were nothing to play with."
I felt all of that.
I felt that on so many levels, but then I was like, okay, this was probably because you know how a lot of shows do. They'll have their 1 or 2 deep episodes for the season. I was like, well, this is probably our deep episode because we just started, and the rest will be fun fantasy. And then even by episode 7, you're like, I can't. I can't do this with y'all every week.
Okay, once they hit me with the Negro spirituals,
Oh.
I was
Listen.
like,
it's
So it's hard. That's probably a loaded. It's hard to pick a favorite. So
It really is.
if she's struggling, I get it.
man.
I mean, it's more like moments.
Mhm.
Just all these different moments that sort of popped up for me. So like just getting thrown into the second episode with moving on up. I was like, what is happening?
yeah.
Wait, this is the start? What? Why are they so happy? I'm here for it though. I don't know what's happening. This is great. And then,
You're
like,
almost looking at them like, were you here for last episode? Like, y'all good, right?
Did y'all forget what actually? I'm like, did I miss something?
right? Just the surprise.
Did we miss an episode? You know, it's like,
right.
Christina and William. I was like, I didn't see it coming. I know some people anticipated and they knew, but I was just like, I'm so glad that I only had very minimal spoilers because I
Same.
got to work on set
Mhm.
for Lovecraft, and I got to see Topsy and Bopsy's screen test. It's scarier in person.
I believe it.
I was gonna say I wouldn't doubt. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the last thing I doubt. But then, like in true Black fashion, which I can't stand about Black Twitter, but they're like, as scary as this was, they're like, them little girls was jigging. I'm like, wasn't they? It's like I'd be scared, but I'm up there like, okay, y'all dance.
Y'all was in sync.
Y'all
for
was
sure.
y'all getting it, but also terrified, especially
Right?
when there was a scene that very much reminded me of a scene in Nosferatu, where the shadow claw is coming on the wall and it's doing that business with his hand. So when Topsy, I think, was like that close to touching the back of her head. Normally that's not a thing in scary movies that gets me, but I was in the corner of my couch. Like, I can't. Like, I already don't like scary things like that anyway, but I'm typically, it's not because I'm a fraidy cat, but I typically believe so much spiritually. So when you start getting into curses, the first 10 minutes of that episode scared the crap out of me when the cop cursed her. I almost went like how my 101-year-old grandma is like, go ahead and mute it. You're going to bring spirits in. And you get kind of very scary acting like, I don't know. Girl, the salt. I got very skeleton key. I was like, I need a candle. I need salt.
There was a lot of, for me, there was a lot of like, I'm clenching, like pissed. I'm like, this bastard did not just spit on this child. He just spit and tripped this child. Like, how was the actress feeling after all of that? You know?
Oh yeah, definitely thinking about that. I very rarely do it, but I went to the girl's Instagram page, and I was just like, first of all, I was like, things you did that, because that episode was a lot. Second of all, are you okay? Like, is everything okay?
And it's funny because like Matt is actually a really sweet guy. Matt, who played Lancaster, he's awesome. He's super, super kind. And I was like, it was funny because I didn't get to see a lot of his scenes, and I knew that he was a villain because I was drawing all of the charcoal drawings of Dee being cursed, but she couldn't speak about it. So she drew it so someone would be able to know what happened to her. And so he had messaged me on Instagram like, it was really cool seeing me in comic book form. And we started having conversations, and he has this really awesome daughter. And I was like, I can't wait to see your character. And he's just like, you're not gonna like it.
Oh,
he's like, I don't like it. I mean, not, just he's such a bad guy. And then he takes off his shirt and he's got this like dead body attached, and it's just like,
yeah.
I mean, there were so many questions, and I was like, I need season 2.
Yes.
Need it now. And 3. Just go ahead
Oh,
and
Yeah, I was
we
like,
can't
this
we
is the
can't do
show
this.
where I'm
We
like,
can't
you
we
don't
can't
get
we
to
can't,
one and done us on this.
Okay.
You don't get
yeah.
to.
This
I felt
isn't
like
Watchmen. This isn't Watchmen.
right.
You
Like, but
don't
even
you
with that, I very much got like crazy ex-girlfriend. Like, you don't just get to leave me. You don't get to give all of this to me and it's good and you just go.
You
Like,
told
no.
Harpo to leave.
You leave me. Right? I'm like, you and me will never part. Keep going with these series. Like, I want it all. And Chris and I were talking about it because we had a whole episode where we're going off about the show. And I think episode 3 was that Indiana Jones adventure, and that was probably the first episode. Funny enough, episode 2 didn't make me like tear up. Episode 3 almost did, because when they're running across the bridge that's disappearing, I was like, I've always wanted to see us like this, to see us do puzzles, to be smart, to be fearless, to be all these, to be multifaceted, to be seen.
And that was
And this
definitely a
was
hats
the
off
first
to
show in a long time, whereas the Blurs we are, I'm like, this is
it.
what I wanted like Buffy to be, right? Like, I could so get into Buffy, but I'm like, but if Buffy had a whole bunch of Kendras instead, I would have been like over the moon. Could you imagine like a Black Willow? Come on. Like,
Yeah, and that's exactly what Misha wanted with this. She wanted to do everything. She was like,
She
I
did
just
that.
want to
Well,
be
she
able
did.
to.
she hit her button. Like, what are we giving them? Everything. Do
Right?
it.
She
You
pulled
know,
a Disney.
Those scenes
She pulled a
were-
Disney.
She pulled a Disney.
Those
We're
scenes
doing
were
it all.
hats off to, those films, to just, I mean, they built that set. Okay, like they built an entire labyrinth of concrete and plaster, and some of it was caved over and some of it was exposed so they could see over it. But they built it in a slant so that as they got closer and closer to the door, the water got higher and higher.
Oh, God.
And even
Wow.
that scene that you're talking about where they're running across the plank, that was built 20 feet off the ground and like a very thin wooden beam. So they fell off.
You know, I'm a dork because I'm literally about to cry about this because it's so exciting. Do you cry during romantic comedies? No. I'll tell you why I cry. I cry about geeky stuff like this because I'm like, oh my God, that's just, it's so cool and it means so much.
And it really does. And it says, you know what, guess what? You're worthy. You are not limited to the archetypes that are displayed to you in media, because
Right.
it started creating this weird background loop that, oh, well, that's not Black. It's like, it's not, because I know a lot of people
Right.
who this describes. I was like, my sister is an engineer. She's a real life Shuri. She's got 2 master's degrees and she can't tell me what she does or she'll have to kill me. Like,
Right.
so, like, I mean, she deals with like hypersonic weapons, like some really high level engineering stuff, and these nerdy archetypes fit her to a T. And she's still cool, but
Right.
she's not just limited to this cardboard cutout that we get fed. This is what it means to be Black. And so I think what you're feeling is like, yes, this is what I've hoped for and dreamed for and saw the potential for us to be. And now it can continue. It can, now that it works and it's successful, yes, please, more of that.
Absolutely.
And I just to be a part of that. I was like, I only had a little part to play, but I'm super happy to have.
She's like, I'm just happy to be here, you guys.
Well, and we spoke before we started recording, and I had a quick question to ask her. I had to ask her about the Hippolyta shout out. I had to. It was a moment that I knew immediately who she was talking about. Let's just say, for number one, Hippolyta's story arc. Damn.
Boy.
Just watching her in episode 1921 rewind.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until Tick says, you got to keep the door open. You got to keep the door open for D. And I'm just like, and she reacted as a mother would react. Like, because she was getting ready to just lose it just a little bit. And then she
called on the spirits.
Yeah.
And then
Um,
it called on
man.
Goku too, because I wasn't ready. I was like, what? Because somebody posted a picture and I hadn't seen it yet. And they're just like, okay, episode like 8 spoilers without spoiling or what have you. And I was like, someone's leveling up. I'm like, what? Like, I don't get it. And then when it happened, I was like, oh my God. So good.
Yeah.
So, and then I love that her hair stayed like that. That was probably my favorite thing. Like she comes back and I was like, oh,
and it was
it's
almost like it
so
wasn't even a question. It wasn't even, it was just like, oh, I need to dye my hair. I'm like, no, she just left it as is. It was fine.
It was fine. And I think that just speaks
Yeah.
more into that episode of being like, this is who I am. Like it made me want to call my ex-husband and cuss him out. Like, I feel this episode. This is for women. It makes you hopeful, it makes you angry, it makes you want to cry. But yeah, your shout out girl again. That would have been a moment they wouldn't be able to tell me nothing. Everybody going straight to voicemail. Act brand new.
Cried. Yep. I just when it was a decision that JP Jones and Misha Green. JP Jones is the props master who I worked with directly, who made just so much of what you saw, from the orrery to Hippolyta's weapons to Dee's notebook. He was making all of the
That
things.
is so cool.
He is absolutely brilliant, and he's worked on so many films like Ford versus Ferrari and Logan. Ooh. And just he is absolutely incredible, and just is responsible for so many little things that the actors have to interact with to be practical. And he teaches himself how to make these things and produces them for films.
Another self-taught.
Yeah,
you guys are badass.
It's almost that's the best route, though, you know.
Yeah, because nobody tells you what the standard is, so you don't have any problem changing it. And I think sometimes, I mean, there is absolutely something to learning a craft and learning what was, but then innovating comes from having a different discipline and a different perspective, and saying, well, I'm going to bring the new view that I have over here because I'm seeing it from another side. I'm seeing it as a scientist. I'm seeing it as a there was a writer who was an entomologist, and he would create these really crazy characters that were insect based because of his research and all of his studies, but they were so convincing. You could see it from his description because he had intimate knowledge of bugs and how they operated, from the chitin to their chemical interactions. So bringing different disciplines and innovating is taking the standard and raising it, elevating it, and changing it so that there's a new normal now with what it is that they brought in. So sometimes when you are too grounded in what was, you are afraid to break it because you have these constraints in your mind. Well, it doesn't work like that, or it doesn't do that. But if you learn more than one, then you're automatically going to come from a new perspective. And man, just seeing how many different kinds of folks worked on this, from the costume designers to storyboard artists, Eric Yamamoto and Brian McGee, Japanese and Black storyboard artist who worked with Jordan Peele directly. There was a concentrated effort to look for Blacks and minorities to work on this. And JP, having worked on so many different films, whispered to me at one point, "This is the most brown faces I have ever seen on a production. This is crazy." And I was like, I get
to be here. Oh, man.
Yeah, definitely part of history in my book, because girl.
Man, and there was just such a care. It wasn't just oh, hey, we're gonna give you a shout out, because I'm not SAG, I'm not union. They couldn't really list me as someone in the credits, so this is a way for them to say, like, we appreciate you, Afua. And
don't get me to crying again.
Okay, I just and then to be able to share this with my dad, who thought that there was just no place for us in art, and just, even if we tried really hard, we would only be accepted as half as okay.
Oh, there goes Brandy.
But the onions up, PJ. Damn.
And I'm good. Dad, this is a real job. Like there is a place for us and we made it.
Saying a
Yeah.
real job. It
Yeah.
is a real job. You
It's a
guys
real
do
job
such a
because
good
it
job.
does. It speaks to our people to say that, we have a place. We have so much to give, so much to
Yeah.
offer. And I mean, oh my God. Just
Yeah.
like me and Brandy were talking about Lovecraft, like the stuff we were seeing, I'm like, I'm at work breaking stuff down to folks. I'm like, who was that? I'm like, well, let me tell you. You know?
Oh yeah. It wasn't until like later on I started catching it because I was like, oh, this is going to be a thing that they're doing now. So then I felt like it was a game. So I was like, okay. And
Yeah.
then the first person I recognized was Betsy on the motorcycle. And I was like, I got this one.
Yeah.
So that was super
Yes.
exciting. And I also put the whole series in a category of content that I'm basically going to force upon my child because I feel like as a parent, that's what you do when you're a good parent. You're like, you're going to watch this because I liked it. Like if I like The
Mhm.
Nightmare Before Christmas, you're going to like it. So, which he just thought was okay, but I showed it to him too young, but I digress. He likes it now, but he was like 3 and I was like, isn't this great? And I was like, are you okay?
He was like, what are they doing to Santa Claus?
Pretty much. I was like, no, they're cool. They're cool. They're going to sing. It's great. But I put Lovecraft Country in that category of, when you're about like probably 14, 15, I'm going to make you watch the show because this is incredible. And it's just great to plant that seed in an adolescent age so people can see themselves. And like I said, just being multifaceted because we don't get it enough, especially
Yeah.
when you have a kid who is artistic. And I want you to know that there's not one way to be Black.
Right.
Like,
Yeah, exactly.
and for a show to do it in this way and to give us that fantasy adventure because they've been putting us out there, but we do get a lot of heavy content and it's a lot of drama. It's a lot of, the boy is going to get shot at the end. It's a lot of documentaries, which still do important work.
Right.
Going over with the Central Park Five and everything, like those
Mm.
are important
Yeah.
series to do. But I'm also like, I want the other side of the coin too, because real shit, that
Absolutely.
stuff's depressing. It's
Right.
real.
Yeah,
Right.
It's
and
real, but it's depressing.
it is, and it makes you feel like why bother trying because I'm going to get stricken down instead of it being like, guess what? You came from people who are made of incredibly durable material who faced what they faced and they were still excellent.
Right.
And but that takes showing someone not just surviving but thriving.
Exactly. And I don't feel like we have enough stories where we're thriving in
Yeah.
different fields. So I'd love to
Yeah.
see shows where it's a POC kind of Sex in the City. It's giving us a Living Single 2.0 type of feel. It's giving us
Yeah.
Lovecraft Country in different breakdowns for the teens on a CW show and for the adults like on something like HBO. So I want to see more of that because I find myself not even being as interested in the show now if I don't see myself. Now, when I was younger, I too much didn't care. But I think
Right.
between being older, not being overseas anymore, since that's where I grew up. So then when you come back to the States and then I have my kid, it reframed my mind when I'm watching content. I'm like, I don't
Right.
see me. So I don't get a lot of these stories. I
Right.
understand it because I've had a lot of friends from all different backgrounds, but I don't understand what this means to me. How does this hit for me? And then what is my son going to see? So now I have to
Right.
pick books and content and things where I'm like, well, read about yourself or see something for yourself. So
Yeah.
the work all of you do is just, I feel like top tier. Y'all, just like with teachers, don't get paid enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like y'all
Definitely.
need to
Definitely.
have that Kardashian money for what you do because you could set up just a generation of people that automatically feel from a very young age, I can and I
Yeah.
will. And that's important.
And usually that comes with better pay comes with ownership. And what I realized that, in working on these different jobs, there's a difference between, doing something where you gain residuals, which is, money that you generate over time, and a work for hire. And even though in comic book instances it's not supposed to be work for hire, it is, which means you get paid for the time that you've worked on it, usually a flat rate, and then that's it. Sometimes you'll get a buyer's incentive where you'll get one half of 2.5% on sales after 50,000, and then different companies will give you different incentives and things like that. So it's not that they're being vampiristic, but they own these intellectual properties. So in working on all of these different projects, I realized at some point, that I don't own anything. And so that's why I started creating and writing a story of my own to kind of cover some of the things that I feel and I think and I research and want to say through my artwork, instead of just allowing the projects that I've worked on and their visions to speak for me.
Exactly. And congratulations, by the way, Miss Kickstarter.
Yes. So let's talk
Hmm.
about more. Let's talk more about that project. The Aquarius, the Book of Mer. Tell us about that.
Yes. It's a modern retelling of mermaid myths and legends from all over the world, and I um, I really I really started digging into just I've always loved myths and legends and things like that. But then I really started digging and looking and asking a lot of questions like, are mermaids just a European thing? And it's okay if it is, because chupacabras are, a Latino thing, and that's fine.
Hmm.
Um, but when I really started to look and saw in ancient Babylonia, they had Atargatis, and in Heliopolis, there was also Astaretheth, and she was the patron deity of their city. And a patron deity is someone who is the spiritual guardian and protector of the city. So there are these giant statues that are erected to this deity who looks over and protects the land. And this was true in, South Africa and Ghana and West Africa, East Africa and South America and Canada and Nova Scotia and a lot of the Aboriginal and even some of the Algonquin tribes. They had these water panthers, beaver people who gave them tobacco, halfway people who lived underneath lakes and frozen lakes, and just all of these different stories that I'd never heard of, because a lot of times um, Native American stories are oral traditions. They're sacred. They're sacred like songs. They're things
Right.
that you protect and you pass on, but sometimes anthropologists will come and they'll share the stories with them, and it'll be translated and kept. And so I just started digging into all of these different archives and tried to find as many as I could, and I started going into Native American museum archives and digging up documentaries and digging up different papers, and even in Japan, like looking in these old like Tokugawa gazettes talking about a 900-year-old nun who accidentally ate mermaid meat when she was 14 and stopped aging. She slowed down her aging process, and she was preaching in the middle of a square in Kyoto about what it's like to live this long and see so many lifetimes and some of the things that she experienced. And, who knows if it's true, but I thought, man, it would be cool to find a common thread or common river between all of these different stories, because we are in very divided times right now. But I
Right.
think I want to show the threads between us, because my family, my community is nerddom. And when I was a part of like the hip hop community, and I saw the power that it had in the underground hip hop arena, where people, from Korea were bringing their battle DJs, and you had, German b-boys and uh, Canadian graffiti artists just coming together and putting all of these different things that made them different aside, and just brought their skills, just brought their their love of this craft together. I thought, man, I love and miss that. And I want to bring all of my different skills together and all the different stories and my travels as an artist, and traveling to all these different conventions and telling people about what I plan to do. And then they would share with me, oh, I'm from Hawaii and we have a legend about this, or oh, I'm from this tiny English town and there's a legend of this long strip of land that went out a couple of miles that people theorize was a dragon that was defeated by a baker. Or
That's a story right there. 3-part series right there. I'm sold. I am sold.
Or looking up a news article in 2012 in Zimbabwe, where construction on a dam was stopped because the workers were attacked by Injuzu. It's like, it's okay. Let's stop for a second. People completely stopped working, getting paid, because they thought they were attacked by a mermaid.
Oh, man.
And then they hired new workers who didn't believe in Injuzu, and they went down there and they came back. They said, look, we don't know what that is, but we're not going back. And then they hired white workers who hadn't heard of Injuzu, and they didn't believe in it at all. They went down there and they were like, look, y'all just gonna have to pay us for the day, because nope.
We're not messing with that.
So the minister of water had to create a particular type of beer, and pour it down there and do a ceremony. And he said, I don't really believe in Injuzu, but the others do. And whatever was down there was appeased, and it left. So all of these crazy stories braided through history, just like seeing fiction and historical references in Lovecraft country, and it working and it gelling and people receiving it, it really validated my ideas. I'm like, yes, this works. Haha, I don't, my ideas aren't crummy.
They're not crummy. I can just see you in the corner like, yes, winning.
I don't know. My inner monologue is like incredibly loud and then incredibly tiny. Like, haha. Like,
I've noticed that, and I'm not mad at it. I really do enjoy that. That's a little mini series for you by itself. Just steer.
It's really ridiculous.
Small.
Oh man.
And so I'm also going to be making music for this as part of the story. So in some places there won't be any dialogue at all, and there'll just be music to tell the story, because that's what's happening in the scene. Someone's either singing a song or they're listening to something on the radio, and it's informing you about what's going on, or one of the sirens is singing, and it's an incantation or a spell, or it's a trick, or it's something.
And it sounds dreamy, by the way. Again, I was stalking you and I was listening to y'all laughing.
I know.
I'm really recording like right by her house. Like after we're done, she'll just hear like a knock. Hey girl, remember? That's right.
You want a blanket?
I know you cold, girl. It's winter. But the music, it's hauntingly beautiful. And when I looked at your illustrations for this, I was like, these seem like some badass mermaids. These just don't seem like, and no shade to Disney, because I love Ariel.
Sure, I sing the songs, please.
But I'm also like, ooh, these are little like sugar spice, everything nice, but also on the naughty list. And I love that I get all of that just from looking at the poses that you put some of them in. Because I told Chris, I was like, I plan on, if I don't get too tired, because I know how I do, I plan on doing like a soft closet cosplay of one of them that I felt, oh, I like this. So I'm gonna see what I whip together tonight, girl. But listening to the music, you are talented, and I think we're probably going to just keep saying that while we have you on here. We're just talented, because there's just no other. I need a thesaurus, because I can't think of anything else to call you. And I hope you're just proud of what you do, because your talent matters and it's needed. And I'm obsessed. He's been obsessed. You definitely have a new, and then let me stop lying. I probably was obsessed with you maybe 2013 or 14. I didn't know you did this cover. And I saw this beautiful Black woman lay it out and caution tape all on her. And I remember I screenshot it and I put it on my IG at the time, because I just got on IG around that time. And I was like, we need more bad bitches like this. I need to see more stuff like this in my nerd content. So fast forward to now, where I was like, she did that? Like, I was admiring her work years ago and had no clue. So this is exciting for me. That's why Chris was like, don't nerd out too much. Too late.
Coming from one of the nerds, like, don't nerd out too much.
That's how you know you'd probably go overboard when Chris has to tell you, hey, bring it down 1,000.
No, thank you. I I get really hard on myself because I want to do the best job I possibly can. So I'm always kind of tearing what I do down just little bit. And I have to kind of stop it and say, okay, look, like I used to keep all of my comic covers and all the books that I worked on up. And at one point, I think I took them down because I felt like I was getting too comfortable in what it is I had accomplished. But I really have trouble being satisfied with what I've done. I'm like, it's not enough. Okay, I'm just getting started. Okay, I learned that. Now I need to move on. And sometimes I just have to sit back and say, okay, you know what? It's okay to say that you've done a good job. You're not like you're
I think
not
that's a
harming
common
yourself.
right. I think that's a common thing that most artists
Thank you.
deal with. Brandy's a painter. I dabbled in drawing a little bit.
Dude,
and
don't
it was
fall out, call
always
me a painter. I don't want anybody in my inbox like paint me something. It's been years. I paint for my pleasure.
but we
Well,
you do even now when I write, I'm just like I can write something and get a synopsis of the story that I want to write, and then give it a week, 2 weeks, and come back. I'm like, I don't like how that turned out. I think it's an artist thing that we just kind of we're our own worst critic, as my mother would say. She's like, we're our own worst critic. And
you're right about that. I'll do cosplays last minute, so I don't give myself the opportunity to tear it up. When I did Penguin, that day was the test run for makeup. Oh yeah, girl. Now that we're best friends, I'll send you stuff. But
it's actually great.
That day was the test run for the prosthetic and the makeup. I didn't do it before then because I know myself and I know I would have been like, this is ugly. I'm not even going and, just tear it up. And then even after I did it and having people that have seen me at these things over and over again say, I didn't recognize you. And I'm like, come on, you knew it was me. It's been months. So now I can appreciate it more than I did in March. But like you said, I think we all have
the last three. The last three were fine. They just wasted Finn's character. They wasted Finn's character.
Oh okay. If useless was a person,
it'd be us too. It'd be y'all too.
This whole time, I thought he gonna be the Jedi. I was like, ain't this some shit?
Oh, really? It was hurtful, and I can understand him going on those Twitter rants. I'm like, you better go off.
Because, usually,
yes, the way that they marketed you, absolutely,
it was supposed to be big time.
Yeah. Seeing Baby Yoda touch his father's face for the last, what probably is the last time. We don't know.
I'm glad you still call him Baby Yoda. Thank you.
Yeah. It's
Grog.
I mean, it's what it is. It doesn't help that they have that meme. They don't have that. They have a meme running around where they're playing Darth Vader's line to Luke, where he says, "Let me look upon your face one last time with my own eyes," and they're playing it side by side with Baby Yoda and Din as Din takes his helmet off and he's touching his face. I'm like, oh, this is fucked up. This is not right.
Got y'all out here balling.
Right.
I'm talking shit because I ain't seen it. I'm gonna probably breeze through it and cry.
Oh, she's gonna get a crash course.
I'm gonna cry too.
Like, get your ass on the ball, girl.
Yeah, I do. Well, they said they're coming out with a new season like towards the end of next year, so I got plenty of time to catch up. I still have to finish like Attack on Titan and some other shit first, and then I'm
on Attack on Titan. I'm on that right now. Attack on. Hey, speaking of Attack on Titan, goddamn, dude, anybody live in that goddamn show? Everybody. Man,
listen.
Like, the first episode.
Wait a minute. Are you just getting into it?
I'm on season 2 now.
Oh, honey. No, it is the equivalent of it's like Walking Dead mixed with Game of Thrones. And it's like, you think you like somebody. It's like, oh, so fuck him too,
they
right?
gone.
Oh, okay. or this person really is. Okay. All right. I got thought.
I got to the point where it's like, I'm not gonna like anybody on this goddamn show because everybody I like goddamn.
No, you have to. It's kind of like how Castlevania was, where I'm like, let me throw some expectations out of the fucking window because that last season, especially the last 3 episodes, fucked me up. I'm like, what am I watching? What is happening?
This is what anime does to you, though. They're like, you talking about, and it gets you invested.
Oh yeah,
and then it just.
I don't trust
you were into that.
I don't trust people that don't get emotional with anime. I'm like,
you like him? Don't worry, hold what you got.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
right. Hold my
the
beer.
beer. Oh, that's your favorite? Oh, that's cute.
Not for long.
Yeah, not for long.
That's how people did me with Game of Thrones. I was like, Ned Stark is a good man. And they were like, oh, honey.
You have no idea.
And I was like, 'cause I got into it years later. And I was like, what's wrong? It took me 2 weeks to watch season 2 because I was crying about that.
They did the Starks wrong, man.
And then towards like the end of the final season, I'm crying again because I was like, yo, daddy knew the whole time and kept the secret. Like I was bawling over
He
this
was
man.
fully invested.
I was so invested crying. And then I'm crying for the actual actor because I was like, you can't survive in shit.
Sean Bean never survives in a movie. If
Wait a
Liam
minute.
Neeson,
They're like, here's your script. This is it, honey.
yeah,
This is
like,
our
okay,
thing.
Don't worry. Catering will be here long
right.
after you.
right. Look, these are the roles for money actors. Ryan Reynolds is always going to be a smart ass.
Always.
Oh,
Liam
yeah,
Neeson,
fact.
Liam Neeson is always going to be the old man who's going to get revenge.
They need to stop that because I'm starting to believe he can't kill nobody now or catch nobody. His old ass, but whatever.
Hey,
Morgan Freeman will
Liam Neeson
always be the
got a
voice
set
of
of
God.
skills.
Always the voice of God.
Scatter, he always got a set of skills. Like I don't know who you are.
Blair-
And he
Blair-
is
Blair-
horrible with management people. I would not want
Blair-
him babysit nobody in my goddamn family because he can't keep nobody safe.
Now he can't keep
Blair-
nobody safe.
Blair Underwood always gonna play a evil husband.
An evil,
evil
they're like,
husband.
oh, it's
And
an abusive
Bokeem
husband. I'll do
Woodbine,
it.
and Bokeem Woodbine,
Henchman
will always
number
play
42.
Bokeem Woodbine will always be the nigga you just can't trust.
Can't trust him.
Always. I don't care what he is. He could be the good guy. He'd be like, us.
No, I was like, I don't-
Can't
there's
get
something
right.
about
It was something wrong with can't get right. I know it was.
it's a shine on that head.
They're like he was
Something
can't
right.
get right, and he still didn't do
He
right.
still did something wrong.
Right, had sex with that white woman.
Yeah.
Well,
How's that
that'll
baby,
get you every
baby?
time.
Hey,
That'll get you every time.
let me criticize that part right quick. Okay, you had sex with a white woman back then. That was a big no. I'm not gonna step my happy ass up and say I'm the dad and say no, nigga, you the daddy. That's your problem.
Not-
Everybody was
We
quick to be
that
like,
type.
I's the baby.
I
I'm
can't
the
talk.
baby.
If he can't talk, I'll
That's
be
my
just
baby
like,
boss.
nigga, right, look.
I was like,
Yeah,
wow,
I ain't
y'all some
taking
real
that.
ones. Like,
I'm the
no.
baby of that chocolated baby.
If don't nobody step up, everybody getting shot. Hey man, there was a nigga over there. He totally did it.
We're like, Chris, why you so quiet? I ain't got nothing to do with this shit. That's why.
I ain't
I-
the pappy.
Chris
That's why.
still toiling soil, doing his job. I'm like, I
This
am
out there
happy being here.
throwing some real dirt over his back.
At that time,
Not the
nigga's
dirt
about to
over his
die.
back.
Oh,
you know how we was little, and your mama told you to clean up the house. You, your brother, sister, you come home, y'all get in trouble. You be like, you tell her it's your fault. That's how it's gonna be. Then it's like, man, you better tell man.
Man,
man, you
listen.
better tell that nigga that was you. I ain't about to get beat down for you.
At all.
Like I ain't got nothing to do.
I ain't gonna
got
snitch,
nothing
but
to
I
do.
ain't gonna say I didn't do it.
That's really what it comes down to. It's like I don't want to snitch, but also you need to do something about this shit.
Because back then, the motherfuckers was getting shot for less.
I'm like,
For
you got-
less.
I'll be damned.
Can't
I
get
catch
right.
some hot lead in my hands because you couldn't.
You
keep
didn't
your
leave
dick in
our
me.
town when the sun set and you about to
You
get
can't
shot,
even
let
speak,
alone.
and we got to get in trouble for you, motherfucker. You better say something, sign a
Right.
blink or
Get right.
something.
Bro, you got responsibilities now. Come on,
Right.
You're a
man.
father. Step up to the plate, be a
Not your
man.
father.
Like then you messed around.
You
then you
are a
messed around there, got a
You're a
baseball
father
career.
now.
Messed around, got a baseball career with a
you
dang
keep-
side baby
You
out there
can't
in
get
the
like
world.
you
But
are
you
a
know-
father now.
Back then, you couldn't walk out a child's life back then because they couldn't find you. It's like, oh, I got a child. That's crazy. But y'all
I'm
praise
out.
God now. I'm out.
You go get a pack of cigarettes back then and just
That's
really
it.
go.
I can't-
Milk and
when he
never
said
come
that,
back.
when he said that, I thought about Tony Baker. I'm like, hey, well, praise God, man. That's
His videos are way too funny.
Man.
He is way too
Hilarious.
funny.
That dude ain't got no sense.
And I'll get on his page and I'm like, I gotta get off this page because I'm just gonna keep scrolling
Man,
and
5
laughing.
hours.
5
Be on
hours
there
and I
and went
found-
laughing
by.
at everything, like
And I
crying,
found out
laughing
he-
at everything.
He my frat brother. He's a Sigma. I was like, ain't there something?
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, hit him up and get him on the show.
There we go.
I'm gonna try. He kind of hard to get in touch with.
Yeah, damn right.
Come on, get on the
I ain't
show,
gonna lie.
Tony Baker.
I've been trying my best to get some of these players. It's like, God damn, well, this shit is hard. Can y'all at least look at my message? Can I get seen under the message? or
No,
something?
you know what I heard was the key. Change your
Have a woman
profile
do
to a woman. Like have a woman
Catfish
do it.
him.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Why you think
Oh,
I was the
wow.
one to ask you to come on?
Oh,
I mean, Chris already did it. You was like, oh no, I might do it. She was like, come on. He was like, ah, well, shit, yeah. I mean, I got shit else to do. You told Chris, she was like, hey man, what day? I might be busy that day. I didn't even tell you what day. I still might be busy,
I
brother.
still might be busy.
Brady was like,
I still
hey,
might be
could you come
busy.
on tomorrow? Tomorrow, shit, I'm free tonight. God damn it, let's go. I'll do it.
Bitch, I'm outside. What's good?
I'm also, hey, I was already about to boot my computer up. I ain't even computer blue. I'm good to go. Let's go.
Oh man.
Shoot it.
Computer blue. Let's go. I'm ready.
Darling
God
Nikki.
damn
This
it.
is hilarious.
When doves cry, I'm sure for sure ready.
No, we know it
Not
wasn't
with the-
like that, but
Not
that
with the
is,
doves cry.
Yeah,
that is the tactic.
Said
I think
computer
that's
blue.
something
I'm
that
still
could
stuck
work.
on computer blue. Oh my god.
Do-do-do. Computer blue. Do-do-do-do-do. But that
Oh,
You need a
Purple
chord.
Rain don't get enough respect,
What kind
man.
of
That was
chord?
my shit.
ouch.
I love Purple Rain.
Better not know you have.
I don't see why it don't.
Yeah, I'm like Purple
What's your-
Rain definitely is God tier.
With
It
your God
definitely
is dope shirt on.
gets plenty of respect. There are some
Yeah.
songs from Prince or even albums that I didn't realize he released because I found one that was like 2006 or 7, and it's nothing but him just playing every single instrument. But I was like, damn, how did I not peep this?
The
And
man
it's
is a-
wonderful.
the man was a damn musical genius. Like
yeah, it's
he was.
wonderful.
it was
But I
like,
think after
oh,
Purple Rain, it was kind of like I don't really have to do much after this, so I'm just going to do this the way I want to do it. And I think he's always been like that anyway. But I think that was kind of like the last time we saw him in this commercial hype success. I think he was over that in the industry, and probably just how dark and evil it
Right,
gets. I
slave on
believe
his
that
face.
shit.
mhm.
Yeah, I believe it. So when you're acting out like that as an artist and people want to call you crazy and shit, you do better staying low key and releasing stuff as you want to do it. Even having those concerts like he was at his home,
Yeah.
and all type of low key shit. Like I can respect the shit out of that now.
Yes. When they were
That was
just
the
like,
first man.
yeah, I was like Prince's house. He was throwing a concert. I'm like, I'm sorry,
Man.
I'm sorry. What?
It sounds wonderful. It's like, what do you mean you were at Prince? What? Like,
Threw a
Like,
party.
yeah, he just invited us over and he just threw a concert.
And just started
I'm like,
playing music.
How the fuck?
and just
did
starts
There was
playing.
cheese
Yeah.
and wines and merriments. And Prince
Man,
played
I mean,
music.
how could you not enjoy yourself?
And he made us pancakes.
And he made
Yeah,
us
right, man.
pancakes.
Pancakes,
like
blouses.
Charlie Murphy was not
I'd be like, that
Gay
would be like the one
blouses.
house where male or females would be like, my clothes came off. I don't remember how or when,
I
but
don't
they
know
did.
what happened.
And
Next thing I know,
I'm not going to complain. Like I'm not.
all I know, we were having fun. There was merriment and pancakes, and then
And
all of a
pancakes.
sudden, Prince brought out wine and guitars, and everybody got naked.
Everyone was naked. We don't know what happened.
Oh,
You made that eye contact. They
Almond
said
milk?
Ludacris said don't make eye contact with him. You can't look in his
Yeah,
eye.
yeah, right. Don't look into his
Don't
eyes.
look in his
So
eyes.
you look in Prince's eyes, it'd be
Like,
like, oh,
It's
That's
the
a
shit.
same
wrap.
thing as like when Dr. Manhattan walks in the room. Just don't look at him.
No,
Don't
I'm
make any
looking.
eye contact. Well, yeah, you'll look.
Randy looking. That's why
You'll
HR is
blush.
always at her desk.
We're gonna have to
Randy,
ask
this
you to
is the
leave
third
the
time
team
we
if
done
you
been
don't
here.
stop this. Right, third time in a week.
Third time this week, we done been to your desk. Now we're gonna have to ask you to stop gazing deeply at his balls like that. That's just what he's getting a little
I'd
creeped
be
out.
like so creepy and aggressive, like cornering him in the break room.
Hey,
like, we
Dr.
gotta quit-
Manhattan,
we gotta quit eating like
see
this.
your balls are jangling. We gotta stop. Gotta stop coming,
Like you don't
coming
feel
together
this.
like
You don't
this.
feel this
He
between
said
us.
the balls are jiggling. What the
Are you
heck?
cold?
I feel
I can warm you
uncomfortable
up.
and scared, Brandy. Uncomfortable and scared is what I feel.
I feel
But that's
scared.
reading. That's reading as horny to me. So I just say we get this done, and and we just leave it at that.
Your mouth is saying no, but your body's saying
your
yes.
body's
She's saying
saying
some creepy
yes,
shit like that.
Oh my
Your
god,
body's definitely saying yes.
this is so like, dude. Okay.
It's the Rape of Dr. Manhattan by Brandy Blocker.
Now he crying alone in the shower.
No, that's when you got to hit him with that shh as you like rub his face. Like, it's fine.
It's okay.
It's over in like 30, 40 minutes tops.
Don't worry about it. We don't have to never speak about it again until the next time I take it, boy.
Pretty fucking much. So be ready. Clean yourself up. That's my favorite line. Clean yourself up. I'm like, what the fuck?
Here's a few dollars. Clean
Right.
yourself off
You
and get out of
raped
here.
her. You
Catch
told
a
her to
cab.
clean herself up.
Clean
Catch a
yourself up.
cab.
That's disrespectful.
Huh?
Clean myself up. Like,
Oh,
wait,
I
what?
remember like my ex-husband, he used
So you
to
do stuff like this.
Ugh.
my ex
Come back to your senses, you be like,
he said the
"Ah."
same shit. Like I remember one time, like my lip was buzzed, all type of shit. And it's not funny. Abuse is not funny, but I laugh at myself. And I remember before church, he told me to put some makeup on, and I'm like, or you could stop beating me. It's like, just the thought. You can stop
wow.
doing that. And was like, just throw some makeup on. That's what they do. Clean yourself up, put some makeup on. Literally, that's how they are. But I wouldn't be like that to Dr. Manhattan because we're gonna fall in love.
I love her optimism.
No, he just doesn't know it yet.
That's why he got therapy, and therapy like, there's Brandy just keeps taking it. I don't know what to do. I have all these powers and I can't say no and get her off of me.
But if he was to have sex with Dr. Manhattan, wouldn't you catch like cancer or some kind of radiation because he's made out of something like he's not?
Why are you trying to ruin shit for me?
Brandy don't care.
A hater right now.
I'm just looking out. Okay.
She said they got pills for that.
They got pills for that.
They have pills for that.
Yeah, all I gotta do is drink some ginger ale, and I'm gonna be fine.
Ginger ale,
and Robitussin,
and get in the sun.
Some Vicks vapor on my chest.
Step out the sunlight,
and go take the vaccine. That'll help too.
You're right. No, I'm gonna end up like Goro with the vaccine. I'm gonna have some extra arms and
shit. Hey, speaking of Goro, did y'all see that new BET movie? What's it called with Michael Corrigan? It was on the other night. It's a Christmas movie. That chick in the movie looked just like Goro. I swear to God.
Wait a minute.
Dog, really? I mean, I was. Go look at it.
By the face,
I'm gonna have to look this shit up.
She had the hair and everything. Dog, I thought I was like, and she had the skin tone. I was like, that's Goro.
Not the skin.
Took the arms away, but that's Goro. I know Goro when I see that big burly motherfucker.
I know when I see it.
You know, Goro was a dragon, right? So you're saying she's like a dragon?
Huh?
You know, Goro was like a dragon.
I didn't say that. You said that.
That was said, I'm not going to take the L on this one.
I didn't say that. You said that. All I said was she looked like Goro. That's all
you going to get that knock on your door. 4 knocks.
All I said was she looked like Goro.
He does the whole, huh?
Right.
Like, I didn't say that. That's not what I said. I said she looked like Goro.
See, that reminds me like with Dave Chappelle.
He was like, "Oh, you say she looks like a dragon, huh?"
Like,
no,
he's
didn't say that.
He's like, where'd you say you were from, huh?
Did I say that? It's not my words, bro.
Playing the game, it's like, damn, this nigga's a whole goddamn dragon. I was like, okay, didn't know that till now. I'm like, all right.
I can't remember that movie. It got Country Wayne in it. B. Simone's annoying ass. I can't stand B. Simone's annoying ass.
She's not my favorite, but I can appreciate like
that voice when she did that high pitched weird.
But she got in trouble though for saying something that she ain't had no business saying.
What'd she say?
She don't want no 9 to 5 nigga. She want a straight hustler.
Yeah, they're still dragging her for that. Well, here's the thing. I don't think she should have said it in that way because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that make it seem like it is awful to work a regular 9 to 5 job, male or female, right? They kind of shit on that. And a lot of us that fund them, we're working 9 to 5s. You may be our entertainment while we're on the clock, but no one ever wants to feel like, well, what you do is not that important. But she could have said that in a different way because I think when you're a woman and you travel in those circles and you have whatever money you're making now, probably a regular dude isn't going to get it for you. That's just the reality of it. So why not say something a little differently other than sounding like you're shitting on the 9 to 5ers? Like I didn't, people. Right? Yeah, that's what I didn't like.
That's why I said, I'm glad you said it because she could have said it a better way.
She could have said it in a better way.
And you know what? She probably
Holiday Heartbreak is the name of that movie. Go watch it. She look like Goro. I swear to God.
I've been tied up looking at Wonder Woman 84, and I was watching Soul before.
No, don't tell me because I heard it's bad. I'm gonna try to watch it for myself. I was like, I should.
I heard everyone's telling me though. Kristen Wiig turned it the fuck out, so I'm excited just to see her. I've heard great things about her.
So is it good or is it bad?
I'm watching it again because I actually fell asleep earlier because I was up late.
Yeah,
sure. So that says a lot.
Sure, buddy.
Thank you, Chris.
I was watching it. I somehow fell asleep in the middle.
I fell asleep.
Hell yeah, but it was good from what I could kind of remember.
Like it's a little long in some parts. It's not horrible.
Okay.
Like the whole movie?
No, it's because it's just as long as the first one.
Is it dry?
Is it dry? The part that's long, it is that part.
Yeah, but okay.
Stouffer's dressing dry.
It's like Karen's chicken dry.
Is it chicken? Yeah.
Oh hell, not Karen. No one wants a dry ass potato salad.
No, it has the same feel. It's just I'm like.
Ain't what I heard. I heard it don't feel the same.
Don't be lying.
It's like Yakov Smirnoff at a festival.
But I did
never
see
liked watching.
I did see a spoiler because I know the old Wonder Woman. She was at the end credits. I saw that. It was by accident on Facebook. So
Oh,
By,
OG
by,
Linda?
by accident.
Facebook has been a bitch lately with spoilers. I don't know what the hell.
You
Yeah,
haven't
you might
lied.
not want to
You
be on
haven't
social
lied.
media at all if you
I don't know
wanna
what's
be
been going
spoiled.
on. It seems like for a while,
No
and
one-
this was happening when Walking Dead was on. Well, it's still on.
Mhm.
When Walking Dead
Power.
in the beginning, in its first Power. When
No,
they-
Power,
Power.
we gave people 2 days, 2 business days,
But see,
and then
this
we
is-
talking
this is-
about this shit.
This is what happened. Like when Walking Dead was like a little more popular and everything, you know,
Was
people
it?
was running their mouth like the night of, and it was like, look, don't say anything until like 24 to 72 hours later.
I
You
think
got
the grace
24
period
hours.
should be 2 days. I
Yeah.
really do feel like it
2
should be 2
days.
days.
You
And
know,
then
they did it
let
with
loose.
Max.
they did it with the Mandalorian, and I'm like, Jesus, shut up. You know, don't say
We
it.
I was
know-
gonna
we-
hit. I was gonna hit the button for you, but you
We
did it
know
yourself.
you inside it, but damn.
Yeah, you know, talking about it as you're watching.
Dog, you see Johnny get killed in the show last night? God, what the
Man,
Oh,
no,
but you know,
seriously.
They was killing Lovecraft too with that. That's like, bro, I'm glad I'm watching it first because y'all can't hold water.
I don't know
God
what
damn.
the hell. God damn. It was like,
Definitely couldn't hold
Premature
water.
show ejaculation, man. People see it and get happy and excited. They just
And
gotta talk
ejaculate
about
all
it.
over the Facebook.
Oh my God, you gotta wait, came with me. I've seen you're never too old, you're never too young. Look what I watched.
I mean,
I've
Oh,
seen
I'm
it.
I think
gonna
the
be the first one to
season
say
when-
this.
I'm popular now because I've seen it with you guys. I want to
Yeah.
talk about it.
I think the season in Walking Dead when Carol disappeared, but she came back. But she came back in the most badass way.
Somebody said girl would be perfect in any threesome.
Oh Jesus!
Oh, wow.
I didn't say
Was
that.
that Peter,
I didn't think about that.
Peter Craig? Was that Peter Craig?
Nope. My guy Montel. I like that one. That
Oh,
was-
Montel. Okay.
That sound like they gonna hurt. That sound like they're hurt. Yeah,
It,
that sound like
I
they're
think
hurt.
it would.
Look at these hands.
But yeah, like
these
all I had
hands.
said was, and they knew that Carol was coming back. It was announced that she was coming back, and all I said was, Carol's that bitch. And I seen other people's responses. It was like, yeah, they were like going in detail. I'm like, Jesus Christ, don't say anything. The
Like
show
I like
is
those memes that are like explaining the episode, but they're like without spoilers.
It's like
so
dry.
With the
I-
pictures.
Yeah,
just the pictures.
like
I
really
enjoy
dry.
that because I'm like, well, I don't understand because I didn't
Four
watch.
different weird ass pictures together.
Yeah, they're the most random
Like them
shit. I'm
old
like, what does
school,
this
like when you was at
mean?
school, they give you the 4 pictures you had to decipher the code.
Yeah,
like
you're like, what do
bird,
these have in
chicken,
common?
2
Huh?
monkeys and an eel. Like, what the fuck is this? What
And
kind
they're
of
like,
stories was
oh,
they telling with
They're
this?
like Bill Clinton. That's the answer. It was supposed
That's
to.
the-
Yeah.
right.
And like, yeah, the answer was Barack Obama walking across stage. Like, what the how,
Every
Sway?
time.
You
What's
gotta get
that?
that drop. I swear we keep saying it.
get it.
Well, this is the part of the show I hate. This is the end. But before we go, I like to give our guest Micah from Blurred Over, allow him to do his promotion. So tell everybody where they can find you and what they can get from you.
All right, let me get in character real quick.
Oh, okay.
Gotta be like the Rock. Baby boys, baby girls, what's good? It's your boy SKIP.88 here from Blurred Over here on the Blurred Eye View podcast. On the last episode, I feel honored and I felt kind of messed up. I was like, man, I gotta be the last nigga to get. But anyway, that's besides the point. So I just want to say thank you for having me on. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, we are officially now on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on Tinder, Christian Mingle Meet. My Christian Mingle Meet is called Hold My Mule. I'm looking for you. And yeah, I appreciate it. Thank y'all. And remember, WTW, what's the word? UNITY. What does that spell? Unity.
All
Red,
right.
Black,
Out of character.
green.
I'm more appalled by the villain glasses you threw on. For that.
You look like
you
old
about to
boy
tell-
from Who Framed Roger Rabbit. You about to dip a shoe in the mouth.
Remember me, hey? When I kissed your brother, I told just like this. Yeah! I was like, what the
No
fuck?
lie,
He
he
fucked
scared
the
the shit out of
judge?
me. The judge was so scary.
Oh my God, Brandy, what do you got to tell us?
Find me on. It's easier if you just find Oh So Your Brandy on Instagram because then you can follow my Golden Goddess page. We're gonna have a lot of little goodies out, mainly for women, but fellas, you
Hey,
can spend the
Chris.
money for the
You found her
ladies.
nickname.
So I'm very. What'd you say?
That's your nickname right there, what you just said. Oh, so you're
Golden
Brandy. That's it.
Goddess? Look at
We
him.
can go with
See,
that.
that's why you put niggas last, because his brain was working fast. So we got it worked. But you can follow another podcast I'm on called The Triangle. We are going into our second year next year, so we're super excited about that. And you can just see my selfies and shit.
All right.
But
Also, her lowered expectations page is coming up soon.
listen, because if Dr. Manhattan don't text me back, I'm gonna rape him one last time, and then I gotta be out here. I'll be on Christian Mingle.
Or a nigga named Doctor who live under a bridge in Manhattan.
Okay.
She don't care.
Well, I don't, not at this point.
Beggars can't be choosers. Dealer's choice.
Oh my.
Beggars can't be choosers. Like we ain't never seen a homeless person that had a nerve to have an attitude.
Right.
You seen all the Lifetime
Right.
movies where they fix them up?
Like,
They do.
oh, he
They
looks
fixed him up, and it's like,
amazing.
wow. he
Under
should
all
be
that
somewhere.
scruff was the heart of a gold man.
Uh-huh.
They give him.
And then
They
it
give him
turns
that
out he had some like
Tyler
You act
Perry.
like,
inheritance or
you act like he
something.
had scars or something. He was just dirty. Stop acting like he did something special.
Hey, I don't know. Hey, but Tyler Perry can work miracles. He give you that wig, and boom, you're a whole new person.
No, them
Not
wish
give you that
wigs.
wig,
Not the wish wigs.
child.
Not the wish
Mm-mm.
wigs.
Not the wigs in that
Ashtray.
last ashtray, bitch. That's the name. That is my Christian Mingle name, ashtray, bitch.
What you doing, little girl?
Yes,
And it's just a picture of a bag afro and an ashtray.
ashtray, bitch.
Man, DC,
For
where
the
can they
Lord.
find you?
Not on Christian Mingles. Find me on Kanye West, whatwouljesusdo.com. Houseway is the answer and the password, and you ain't got the answers. And Gedici told me that I was supposed to do this. Houseway. You ain't got the answers. No, you can find me on What the Shit, doing stupid shit like this. Follow What the
I thought
Shit
he
on
was about to go into
Instagram.
his death row speech. I'm like, oh shit. here
Oh
we
yeah,
go.
if y'all want to, y'all people coming on y'all shows, wearing crazy villain glasses, talking all crazy, then come to What the Shit, Death Row Records.
There we go.
Where else? What the Shit, Instagram and Facebook. Find me here on Saturdays. On Tuesdays, I'll be serving soup in the kitchen. No, nobody believe that. Okay. So
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I was about to say.
Randy was like, "Nigga, what
The
kitchen?
deafening
Nigga, at your
silence.
house?"
No, DC for real. That I was like,
Nigga ain't sure. No, I'm
I
not.
was gonna ask for a bowl.
I'm not going
no,
to.
you
I-
Southerners get no soup.
No soup for you.
You Southerners take too
No,
kindly
can I ask
to
you a
y'all on
question?
this
Like,
show.
because I lived in the South for a while. Is it really that racist down there still?
Yeah, it is. It's terrible.
Okay. Yeah, boy, come on over and
Yeah,
get
pretty
some of
much.
this soup.
But stay in
No,
the back.
what the
I'm a
shit?
police officer. I still have people say, "Oh, you a black fella with a badge." Well, goddamn. Okay,
Oh,
then. That's how we
damn.
feel. You better not have.
She
you
got
better not
that
have
badge
It's
one
gonna
on
be
you,
a
boy.
good day now, isn't it?
Not the boy.
You got that badge on you, boy.
Oh,
Sorry.
my
I don't want to
God.
offend anybody.
It's pretty terrible. It's pretty terrible.
Too late to ask that, huh?
And then they have to like spit on the ground after they see him because they're just.
Why do they do that?
They're
I don't
so
never understood that.
disgusted. They're so disgusted.
You're like, yeah, I
supposed
see
to-
you. Then it'd be like,
Supposed to be disrespectful. I don't know why.
And then you're just like, okay.
yo, you almost spit
Right.
on my Timbs. Nigga, like, watch that shit, yo.
You definitely don't want to spit on nobody who wearing Timbs. Nigga.
Especially not the butters. You spit on the
Right.
butters. We
Not
fighting on
the
you. I'm giving you that
On
krillin
sight.
kick straight to the face.
That's
Yes,
on
Krillin.
site.
Make,
bing, bing, bing. Boom. nigga.
oh,
Sorry,
my
Chris,
God.
it's your turn. Go ahead. Let the shit go.
Until next time, you can find, like, and follow Blurred's Eye View on Facebook. You can also follow, like, and share Blurred's Eye View on the YouTube page. And you can listen to us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Until next time, remember to educate yourself and others, entertain yourself and others, and empower yourself and others. I'm your host, Chris Fury, with Cosplay Diva. Working title, maybe Golden Goddess, we're not sure. And DC, and until next time.
Titty sprinkles.
That's my new working nickname.
We're out.
Dr. Manhattan's bitch is my, like, that'll.
Or a doctor from under the bridge saying,
Titty sprinkles.
If he
We're
says it
out,
in that
people.
voice, he got me.